Hey guys, Seb here from the Eyes on Leafs podcast. No Mateo or Jacob. Uh, Not really going to be podcast form today. They gave me kind of the green light to just go ahead and get some thoughts out because we probably won't be able to record until tomorrow. So Leafs lost Game 7 to the Florida Panthers. Their sixth Game 7 of this core, of this era, and lost it again. I found myself yesterday watching that game just at a complete loss for words. You know, first 5 minutes, Panthers just completely dominate them. I feel like that just set the tone for the rest of the game. The Herculean effort of Game 6, where they go out there and you shut out Florida in their own barn. Like, they go there and just put on a clinic. Matthews finally breaks through in the series and gets arguably the biggest goal of his career in the NHL. Kind of pathetic, but I mean, I can't think of a bigger goal he scored in his career. The game winner in Game 6 to force Game 7, you're one game away from the conference finals. Like, that is kind of a testament, I think, to the failure of this core. But yeah, he's never had a bigger goal, and I really thought going into Game 7 that we were going to see a better game, not only from Matthews, but the team as a whole. I really thought they were going to follow up that performance, and should have known, right? Should have known. I feel foolish now saying that, but should have known. They've never proved it in the NHL. That and when I say they, I don't mean this team. Everything else about this team besides, core four, obviously, plus Riley. You can throw him in there too. He was awful. You can throw him in there too, but when I say they, I mean those five. Everybody else is different. We talked about it all year, the D-core. Brad Treliving completely rebuilt it. The only guys that were on this team, or not even, the only guys that were on this team for more than 2 years were Jake McCabe and Morgan Riley. Everybody else was either a last season or off-season addition, and then Carlo at the trade deadline. Defense was completely different, and even they yesterday, they fell apart. But I don't even really want to get into too much of the game. Like, everybody knows, everybody watched it. We all know what happened. There's no killer instinct. They couldn't break through, and the second they got a response goal from Domi, which, like, whatever. Not even like 40 seconds later, they give it right back up. It's eerily similar to Game 5, except instead of getting shut out for a majority of the game, they get that one goal to make it 3-1. I've seen a couple people, I mean, actually, not really. I haven't seen many people blaming Woll, but, like, defense just fell apart, man. I don't put a single molecule of blame on Wolf for this one, man. Like, you can't go down 3-0 in a Game 7 and expect a comeback to happen. That's what made Dallas's comeback this year remarkable. That's what made Winnipeg's comeback in Game 7 this year remarkable. It almost never happens in Game 7. There was a stat on the broadcast where the team that gets the first goal in Game 7, the all-time record is 150 to 50, now 151 to 50 in a Game 7, where the team that gets the first goal wins the game, pretty much. Like, that's to go out there in the biggest game of your career in the NHL and put up that kind of effort in the first 5 minutes in your own arena is ridiculous. And then I don't even know the total number of shots after, like, I watched the whole game, but after a certain point, I just stopped paying attention to the shots. They got almost outshot 2-1 in shots. Like, the shots, sorry, not 2-1. The shots were 34-20. They got outshot by 14 in their own arena in a game 7. And you have Marner on the bench, or during a timeout, yelling at his bench, "Wake the F up." Seems a little ironic, no, Mitch? Like, and like, he looked disappointed, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this on the podcast on Wednesday about, how they all didn't show up for game 7, especially Mitch. I know Mateo's going to be on that, but he genuinely looked disappointed at the end of the game, no doubt, but it's hard to have sympathy when you've had 9 years. You have had, like, this feels more about the past 9 years than it does this series. This is the furthest they've made in the playoffs with this core. 13 games, 7 wins. If this was, 3-4 years ago maybe, or, maybe like 3-4 years into the core, I think the reaction is completely different. But they've had 9 cracks at this. 9 cracks. You've had 9 years to make a serious run. 9 years of teams that look like serious contenders going into the playoffs, maybe with the exception of the bubble year, 2020. They played Columbus. That team was awful. But 9 cracks at it. And 2 series wins to show for it. I saw a stat yesterday. The Buffalo Sabres have more series wins since 2004 than the Toronto Maple Leafs. They haven't made the playoffs in 13, 14 years? This core makes a collective like $50 million together. Is that the problem? Maybe. Definitely wasn't past years, but the depth got a little better the past couple years with the cap going up. True Living made some pretty nifty moves. Domi being a depth guy. Like, he got Lawton, who I like his play, but man, he's had 1 goal in his entire Leaf tenure so far. Not a single one in the playoffs. McMahon, 20 goals in the regular season. None in the playoffs. Had 2 points, I believe. 2 assists. Set up the Pacioretty goal. That was pretty nice. Nothing in Game 7. But I don't even want to focus on them for Game 7 because it's not their fault. At the end of the day, like, your depth guys are only going to take you so far. Like, when it comes to Game 7, those Game 7s and those big moments are the moments where when you pay guys 11, 12, 13 million dollars in today's NHL, those Game 7s are the moments where you expect those guys to break through. And I don't want to hear a single thing about pressure, about the media, the fans, to quote Steve Dangle, the noise. I don't want to hear a single thing about that because, one, they do it to themselves. If you come through in any of the previous years better than they have, the noise isn't as bad. I've seen a lot of people argue this too about how Toronto fans are the worst and they turn on players so easily. It's not hard to be loved in Toronto. It's truly not. It's a privilege to play here, man. It is not hard to be loved in this city. The issue we've seen is that it's been 9 years of failure. Of course the pressure is going to be high. You haven't made a finals appearance since 1967. Of course the pressure is going to be high. But guess what? There's teams in Europe playing soccer. There's guys playing on teams in Europe in soccer that face 20 times the pressure that you do. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi are international celebrities. You can't say that about Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews isn't a worldwide name. Mitch Marner isn't a worldwide name. But guess what? Those guys rise to the occasions every time. They have way more fans in the stadium than you're going to find at any Leaf game or any hockey game, for that matter, pretty much. How come they pull through with tons of pressure mounting on them? That's professional sports, man. You're going to have pressure mounting on you. Sorry that you play for a bigger market team in the league. I don't know what to tell you, man. Do you want to go play for Matthew Tkachuk was talking about it, how he straight up in a nice way said that Florida doesn't have fans that care, or just not the same amount of fans that care. He said that's a luxury for them, or that they're lucky for that. No, the you're not. No, you're not. Like, congrats, you have people that don't care, that cheer for your team, or like, that's just pro sports, man. Pressure's going to come anywhere you play. In Toronto, sure, you have more, maybe a little more pressure. But I'm not going to feel bad for that, for them having pressure, because the only reason there's pressure there is because they found a way to perennially lose in embarrassing fashion. Do I have to go back and like roll through all of these? 2017, they get a pass. They're the first year in the playoffs, and they did really well. That's honestly could be, besides maybe the Tampa series, the best series they played. They pushed Washington to 6 games, and they had a series lead in that as a brand new team in the playoffs. Not brand new, but you get what I mean. Like, all the, that was the rookie years for a lot of guys. 2018, Boston wins in 7. You could give them another pass there. They, again, young team. Pieces still weren't quite there yet. Defense was still shockingly terrible. 2019, they led that series. They had 2 chances to win it, 6 and 7, and they lost. First year of Tavares. Babcock should have been fired, but who cares? Matthews was huge that series too. He had 5 goals in 7 games. That got wasted. And I don't know if we've really seen him be that level of dominance in a playoff series since. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie. Tampa, 2023, had a couple of big goals, but besides that, I don't know if we've seen him have a level of dominance like that. I could keep going on. 2020, the Columbus, whatever, COVID. 2021, biggest choke this core's ever had for sure. 3-1 series lead on the Canadiens, and they blow it. 2022, Tampa, Game 7 again, of course. 2023, they give us hope, and then get crushed by the Panthers in 5. 2024, Bruins in 7 again with... that was probably the best Game 7 they've played. Best Game 7 they've played. And then this year, struggled to close out against Ottawa. Insane. And then pushed Florida to 7, but had time. Like, you had a 2-0 series lead, man. 2-0 series lead, and it's a choke. I'm sorry, it's a choke. You had a 2-0 series lead, and they were up in Game 3. Could have had a chance to go up 3-0 against the defending Cup champs, and they blow it. They blow it, and even after Game 3, we weren't mad. Nobody, like, we were upset, whatever, but nobody was mad. The pressure wasn't there. I'm telling you, it is entirely self-made. I'm sick of people acting like the fans are the problem and the media are the problem. They're not the problem. The problem is the same 4 guys that just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to show up in the big moments. That's the problem. It's not the fans. It's not the media. And I'm sick of people saying, I'm sick of the dialogue being the fans and the pressure, because it puts this onus that it's difficult to play in Toronto, or that it's hard to please people here. It's not. We revere the 1993 team. We revere the early 2000s teams, because guess what? They didn't even have crazy deep runs. They were all conference final appearances. But the stars on those teams showed up. They played with heart. You didn't question if they were trying, or you didn't have to worry if they were going to show up. They showed up every time. There was a stat on the broadcast. I didn't hear it exactly. I don't know if it's franchise or NHL history, but Wendell Clark had 6 goals and 6 Game 7s in his career, all with the Leafs. I'd kill for that right now, man. I'd kill for Nylander to have that. I'd kill for Matthews to have that, man. But they don't do that. They don't do that. They don't do it. And I feel a sense of clarity, because there's a clear direction on where to go now with this team. You know, you can't run it back. There's no way in hell. If Marner asks for I don't want him back anyways, but Marner's going to ask for more than Rantanen, which is incredible considering what we just saw Rantanen do and what he's continuing to do in these playoffs. Probably the Conn Smythe favorite right now. And I'm not going to harp into the whatever Marner rejected that trade. We'll probably talk about that on the pod, but I mean, we gave him a no trade clause, dude. It's the fault of the past management, and he exercised his right. He's probably going to leave now, which stings, but I can't be too mad about it, dude. I mean, we gave him the right to do that, and, you know, he had a pregnant wife at home, probably didn't want to get traded and have to live in a hotel somewhere while his wife is about to give birth. Like, I mean, I can't blame the guy. Is it annoying? Yeah. Is he going to be hated? Yeah. Is it his fault he got a no trade clause? No. We gave it to him. And we should have moved him before we had it, but we fired our general manager who was willing to do it. And right when he was willing to do it too, which is incredible. But he'll be gone. I'd say it's like 99 to 1% chance right now. Probably 99.9999999 to 0.00001. Nylander should stay, although we talked about it on the pod before. Wasn't impressed with his playoffs in the slightest, honestly. I think he struggled a lot at times. Looked like he was trying to do everything by himself a lot of the time, but again, at the same time, can't really blame him when everybody else in your core just refuses to show up. If Tavares wants anything more than $5 million, goodbye. Great regular season for him, but again, playoffs, didn't see it. And how much of that is actually on, Tavares not trying? I think he tries his ass off every night, but there were just times this series, and especially in Game 7, invisible. Just invisible. And Matthews, this is controversial for sure, but I think you entertain offers on him. I'm not saying you trade him, but I don't think anybody should be untouchable, maybe besides Nylander and Nyes. The only reason I'm giving Nylander leeway is because in the past he's shown up more, and in Game 7s he's shown up more. He had the go-ahead goal last year against Boston in Game 7. I think those are the only two that you treat untouchable. Everybody else on this roster, oh, and maybe Chris Tanev, but I'm talking about the core here mostly. I didn't even mention Riley. I mentioned him earlier, but yeah, terrible these playoffs, honestly. He had some huge goals, but especially in this series, I just thought he was pretty brutal, and it's really weird to see, considering this is a guy we normally rely on come playoff time and normally elevates his game extremely well. 2023, he was the best player on the team, no doubt, the whole way through, and that was just not there these playoffs. And all season, I don't think he's meshed well with Craig Berube at all. In terms of if you want to move that deal, I don't know if you can. I'm pretty sure he has a no move clause. Would anybody be even willing to take him on at this point after the season he's had? And there's another 5 years on that deal at $7.5 million. I don't know, man. That's a very tough ask, and I'm appreciative that Mo probably took a discount from what he could have gotten. He probably could have gotten 8.5, maybe upwards to 9 on the open market, and he took that discount. But at the end of the day, the performance isn't there, and it wasn't there at all this season. It wasn't there last regular season either, for the most part. Yeah. Disappointed in Morgan Riley these playoffs. And at the end of the day, I think we all know this. The mix doesn't work. Something's got to change. Yeah. Like, what else is there to say? I don't know. 6 Game 7s they've lost. 6 Game 7s. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. We've had 3 different coaches. We've had 2 different general managers. 1 president. We'll see where that goes. I'd be shocked and, quite frankly, flabbergasted if Shanahan is back. This is going to be an interesting offseason. I guess we're going to see where this goes. Yeah. Just wanted to record that little reaction there, a little tidbit. If you've made it to the end here, thank you for watching. Make sure you stay tuned for probably on Wednesday. Next episode will be dropping, the Eyes on Leaves podcast. We will dive into this, and I mean dive into it way more in depth than I've gone into it today. We'll probably talk about everything, what we want to see happen. So yeah, stay tuned for that on Wednesday with Mateo, Jacob, and I. But yeah, we really thought they were different, and they proved us wrong. They proved every one of us wrong who thought that something was going to be different this year, and they waited until the very end to show us. And I think there's a poetic justice to this core living or dying by a Game 7. And when given the opportunity to erase a near decade of failure with this fan base, because I'm telling you right now, if they win that Game 7, everything is forgiven. If they win that game, it's erased. And they faltered. And it's not the fan base's fault, believe it or not, because they're not out there playing. I don't blame a single person in Scotiabank Arena for throwing their jersey or booing, because that was the most pathetic Game 7 performance I've ever seen in my life. It's not the media. Sorry that you get asked a couple tough questions or there's an article written about you after a game. That's the gig, man. That's pro sports. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Perform, and it's different. Perform, and people will love you here. You had the chance to erase it all. You had the chance to solidify yourself as legends in this city, and they faltered, and they stomped on that opportunity and threw it away. And now this era is going to be looked at not only in Leafs history as the most disappointing era of hockey we've ever seen from the Leafs. It's one of the most disappointing eras, I think, in hockey history in general. In NHL history, this is one of the most disappointing, awful eras of a team we've ever seen, and one of the most shockingly disastrous cores we've ever seen from an NHL team. And God so help me, I hope it's different next year. I really hope it's different next year. Yeah. Like I said, tune in on Wednesday for Eyes on Leafs podcast with we'll go in depth on this series and playoffs in general. Yeah, besides that, if you made it to the end here, thank you for watching. Yeah, see you guys on Wednesday.